it's always nice when this is organic, and I actually don't know the answer to this question.
Yeah.
But if you could tell me your background, who you are, kind of how you got here today, that'd be outstanding.
So, I guess what I'm about to say might sound a little different.
Yeah.
Okay. Who I am involves a lot of nouns, and I try to practice transcending that and understanding one's own essence. Okay. So who I am is I I was chairman and CEO of the board of Mace Security International, the manufacturer of Mace pepper spray. Public company. I got involved through an investment fund. Was vice chair, then became chairman, then became chairman and CEO until we exited the company in 2024. At the same time, I was chairman of the board and board member of a alternative fund-owned company in Syracuse, and we exited that in 2024 also.
Correct.
Prior to that, I ran a manufacturing company for a family, saw some pretty nice growth in EBITDA and revenues. And then prior to that, my roles were mostly financial and some board roles. Grew up in finance and accounting. Prior to that, I wanted to be a doctor, and I ended up marrying a naturopathic doctor. So that's what my wife does. And at the moment, I just do board roles, and I collaborate with entrepreneurs, and you may have heard Sumit Kubur, you know him.
Yeah, I was just talking on the phone with them.
Okay.
We were supposed to grab lunch, but we couldn't find each other's location.
So Sumit and Shanna, I had dinner with them a couple of weeks ago. That's an example. What's that?
Shanna Greyhouse?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah, she's awesome. So what advice would I give entrepreneurs?
Well, before we jump into that, so I'd like to know, kind of sitting in retrospect, you've had incredible sounding career. A lot of people, I feel like, stumble, or it's hard to know what you're doing moving forward, right? But when you can look in the rear view, you start to piece some of these puzzles together of how things happened and why. And so did you have an internal why of like why you wanted to go in the trajectory of the careers that you went, or like how did that all come together that way?
At the time, it all seemed like accidents. When I look back, I think, the advice I would give is, by my reflection is, trust your instincts. They're there for a reason. And I have my own framework around instincts and intuition. But I think when they say things happen for a reason, things happen for a reason for you, not for the outside world.
Mm-hmm.
It's to increase one's own awareness in the journey that they're pursuing, and then the paths start opening up.
Sure.
I joined private equity when I knew very little about private equity. I was in a Stanley Black & Decker, Fortune 500 company. I got a call from a headhunter, and he says, "Yeah, I'm recruiting for a family office fund." And I was pretty young and didn't have a ton of experience. And I go, "What is that? What do they do?" And they tell me what they do, and then I did the family office fund gig, and then I did a private equity gig, and so on and so forth. But in all of these places, I found that if you're seeking to understand yourself, which is the number one necessity for success, like success in terms of not money and homes and all material, it's your own, leveling up to your own sort of potential. You got to understand yourself first. If I want to understand you, I got to know my own essence first. Then I'll be able to listen to you, like really listen to you.
Yeah.
And collaborate.
What moments did you feel like that was like? How did you learn that? What was it? Was that something that came through hard experiences, or how did you learn to start thinking that way?
So
and it was like resulting in more beneficial things in your life.
So these things have popped in my life since college. I read J. Krishnamurti, He talked about that. Philosopher from India, traveled all over the world. Later on in my life, Eckhart Tolle, Power of Now, being present. And being present is transcending thought. Being present is understanding your own essence. So these things were popping up to me. And then when I finally started directing my energy to it, that's when I started feeling peaceful, blissful, fulfilled. And it didn't matter what the career was. All that was fine and good. But that feeling of, okay, I can live in the moment. I'm not constantly chasing, and it'll be better. And that was my initial thing. Was all right, it'll be better. Okay, next job, it'll be better. I did that for a while, and then you just learn as you grow. But I think reflecting back, that's what I would say is understanding your essence that involves being present and listen to your instincts. And when things pull you in a certain direction, explore it. It's really worth exploring
Sure.
because you'll never know.
Yeah. So in certain moments in business, I feel like it's hard to live in the moment because we're always, a lot of things that we do in business are for something in the future, right? We're meeting about the thing that's going to be happening later, or the sale that's going to be happening later, or the deal, or this, that, the other. Almost like 85% of it is in the future.
Yeah.
Well, how do you combat that with living in the present with such a future oriented society and like business world?
So being an athlete, I play tennis here, I play squash here. I mean, the whole.
No skating?
I'm not. That is not my thing. I'd fall and crack my head. I think that it's fine to have a goal, but when you break it down into micro steps and make that habit that's part of your subconscious, so you don't really have to think about it, and then enjoying the process. So if you don't fulfill the steps in the process, then that goal that you set is going to keep on going further away. And as you're in the process and you're enjoying it, you're enjoying it meaning giving it your attention thoughtfully. That's the key that I've found.
Sure.
Yeah.
I love that. Tell me about some of your challenges and and I'd love to hear how your perspective of what you just said ties into some of your biggest challenges you faced in your career. How do you maintain a sense of like being present and enjoying things when they're hard?
So Angela Duckworth, she wrote the book Grit.
Yeah.
She's a professor at Penn.
Yep.
And I'm trying to remember her. She has two formulas. Skill is equal to talent times effort, and achievement equals skill times effort. Effort shows up in both places, both equations. And an effort to me, the translation is, put your heart and soul in the process.
Sure.
Every single day. And have really good habits so you don't have to think about it. It's part of your system.
Sure.
And I think that this idea of something being hard for me is, and I have a 14-year-old son and a 10-year-old daughter, and they'll say, this is really hard. And I feel like things are hard because we apply the same level of knowledge to a situation which we don't know much about. It's going to seem really hard. You understand, go acquire the knowledge that is applicable to the situation, and then go back and look at it. It's not hard.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
What is one of the hardest things that you've been through in your career?
I think my last 2 years at Mace was really, really hard. We had an activist shareholder who was, gunning for my removal, wanted to replace the entire board, and he was an activist. He was doing his activism, but it was distracting me quite a bit. So I had to chase down ventures that he wanted us to investigate instead of really working on the business. So I had to give my effort as the CEO, chairman, and so I was working 7 days a week. and I was away from my kids. I think it started with a lot of stress, and then I had to build a framework around fear and how to approach that. And so that it's like you don't want to be in that highly cortisol induced phase all the time, especially as a leader of an organization, because your team depends on you, your shareholders depend on you, your board depends on you.
It's a horrible feeling
It's a
too.
horrible feeling.
Been there before.
Yeah. So I had to figure out, okay, what is a framework that'll work for me and that'll help me optimize. So I figured that out as well.
Totally. That's
It
great.
worked for me.
What do you think the most rewarding part of your career has been?
I think every position I can say has been rewarding. So I wouldn't like I don't think there's one that feels super rewarding. There was one that had a significant payout, but it's a payout. But in terms of effort and all of that, I think as I look back, early on it was so much about learning, and that was really rewarding, and working with other people. And then when you're leading a function or an organization, figuring out how to apply everything you've learned, working with teams, scaling
Sure.
that, they were all super rewarding.
100%.
Even though the 2 years of stress, that wasn't super fulfilling, but what I learned from it is just, it accelerated my growth around human behavior and how beliefs work, how people get motivated, how uncertainty is very expensive on the brain. So things like that.
Yeah. What would you tell yourself 20 years ago today?
Never stop believing in yourself. I had a lot of self doubt. So, imposter syndrome.
How do you get through that?
I have no idea. I just kept on doing it, and
Eventually it goes
I
away.
yeah.
That's a big thing that I think a lot of the world in general, not even just entrepreneurs or executives, because it's just like, well, we're all kind of faking it until we make it, and we're all kind of just like trying to survive and live and enjoy along the way. Is there any advice that you have for people that are specifically looking to do similar things as what you're doing in your career? People that are in their 20s now, or just like starting out. Anything, if you could like summarize like the most important things to look out for, or some of the best advice, what would you say?
You know what I'm doing now? I could have never imagined what I'm doing now. If I went back 20 years ago, say to 2005,
Just hold right there.
2006, I could have never predicted what I'm doing now. And so I think that pursuing what you want to pursue, putting all your effort in it, applying it diligently, having a decent, sort of balance so that your brain does get a chance to rest. That is healthy. It's healthy to be in that creative state, like the state of nothingness. And I adapted those practices because I would work 70 hours a week, and it's not like, oh yeah, you work 70 hours a week and it feels great. No, it doesn't. Your body starts breaking down. So I'm learning to give myself breaks and adapting and pivoting and challenging my own beliefs and assumptions. I, I think all those things, now I can look back and go, okay, here's how I got here was I had to endure all that suffering.
Sure.
There's no, in Buddhism, it says there's no suffering, there's no liberation without suffering.
Right.
So you have to endure all of that, and how it shakes out, it shakes out.
Yeah.
So,
Kind of just have to accept it.
yeah.
Yeah.
For me, that is acceptable.
So, yeah.
Like, it's like, oh, okay, I'm setting my goal here. Oh, if I'm not here, oh, I'm going to feel so down.
Sure. Yeah, I'm trying to teach myself actively how to be less attached to outcomes and just kind of continue to have principles that guide my life. And then what happens, happens. But as long as I'm focused on loving others, doing hard work, being creative, living in the moment, these great things, whatever happens in the external kind of happens.
There's a neuroscientist, he did some research, I think, at the University of Dallas. His last name is Anderson. He's the one who came up with the 10,000 hour rule. And he has a framework called SMART growth. To achieve outcomes, you break down the steps you need to get there. and start executing on the steps, then it's more about the little wins that you achieve. And if you fail, you pivot. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I can't do that. Okay, haven't mastered it yet. Then that part when it'll show up, but you've gone through all the
Stuff.
muscle
Oh, yeah.
training of the muscle, right?
100%.
So, yeah.
Last question for you. We get a lot of 20s, 30s, Gen Z, millennial folks that watch this, and they love to hear things that they can work on, areas of improvement. With spending times with folks like me, like Shanna, like Sumit, are there things that you want to see more from us?
So I'm a big fan of the one big thing. The one big thing is whatever you're trying to do, and it's internal, it's not external. So I think inner reflection, it slows everything down. It's really awesome to reflect. I think it clears the air on doubt as well. So you wake up in the morning, you do some reflection. Well, it kind of, you know, optimizes your mind and body. And like, yeah, whatever happened yesterday, today's a new day. And then understanding if you're setting out a quarterly goal, what is the one big thing you have to do to achieve that outcome, and sticking to it.
100%.
You might not show up for a habit one day, you can't do it twice. Twice is failure.
Yeah.
So understanding that, like, okay, if I'm going to do my inner reflection every day, I'm on a plane. I'm going to find some time to do it. I'm in an airport. I'll find time to do it.
I love it.
It's like persistence.
Totally. I love it. Well, hey, thank you so much.
Yeah.
We're excited to have you. You're coming on the 31st.
Yeah.
We'll
Thanks
see you
a lot.
there.
Yeah.
And for everybody back home, we'll see you guys on the 31st.